And thank you, Gareth, for closing us out on such a strong note.
Good to be here.
Yeah, happy to have you. How many of you guys have been to one of these before? Show of hands. Oh, nice. Okay, cool. So we got a lot of newcomers. So we wanted to do something special. I know some of you have traveled from far away places to come for this, and seeing that it's the last master class of the year, we want to do something special for you guys. So everybody who came, who actually took the action, not only to sign up, but actually to come out here in the rain to learn from Gareth tonight, is going to get a brand new pair of AKG headphones, which is one of our brands.
Wow.
So if you guys just take a look in the back there, my colleague Tori, who is so lovingly holding that box of headphones. So there's a stack of them there. So just after the class is over, after Q&A, we're going to have some pizza. There'll be a little meet and greet with Gareth. So on your way out, just grab a pair of headphones. Yeah, just one box per person. Goes without saying. Just have to say that. So we're going to have Gareth go for an hour, and then we'll have about half an hour of Q&A. And then, like I said, there'll be pizza for everyone and meet and greet. So take it away.
I'm so fucking happy people are getting headphones because, honestly, big up to all of you for being here. One of the most important things I think you can do is to kind of invest in your own knowledge and carry on learning, not just when we've left school or college or whatever. But, I'm still a big fan of learning now, always trying to learn new shit. So, well done to all of you for being here. Whilst the people who are doing similar things to you are binging on fucking Netflix or whatever, you guys are here, hopefully, about to learn something from me, if this all goes to plan. So big up you. And, let's get started. To those of you who don't know much about me, I'll be very, very quick. Originally from Southampton, England. I've been producing and DJing electronic music for about 15 or 16 years full time. It's funny, I never expected dance music to be my thing. I started playing the piano pretty young, about 4 years old. And for most of my childhood, it was about bands, like rock music. If I'm honest, electronic music was something I felt I had to listen to when I went out trying to meet women, well, girls, because it was all the bars in England played, but I never liked it. And then 18 years old, went to Ibiza for the first time. That was the first time I ever saw people going out to enjoy the music as opposed to just going out to drink. And that's when things started to change. And, for the next 3 or 4 years, I played in bands whilst also starting to make some very basic electronic tracks. And I soon realized that the issue with bands is when you have 4 or 5 people, you break up, you have arguments, it's tough when it's your friend, you kind of realize that your best mate's not as good a guitar player as you'd like him to be. And I kind of realized going into electronic music, where it was all me, I could take full responsibility. So that's kind of how I ended up getting into it. Did my first record deal at 22 when I left university. And the nuts thing for me at the time was, it will sound crazy that this was a crazy thing, but I was making music entirely on a laptop when nobody else was. And at this point in time, music was made in these mega expensive studios. People would spend tens of thousands of pounds or dollars or whatever building up these ridiculous collections of equipment. So for me to be doing it on a laptop, I got fucking laughed at. People were like, you make music just on a laptop? And it was kind of tough, right? And I have people who I thought their music was much worse than mine, kind of mocking me because I literally had a £500 laptop and that was it. Now, obviously today, it's the opposite. We're almost all making music on laptops, including me, and the big studio and the mixing desk is kind of the outlier. But I always think it's important to look for the parallels to that situation now. So for you guys, look at the stuff you're doing, and just because it's not the norm now, just because it's not what, say, I'm doing or other people who you listen to are doing, doesn't mean it's not going to be the norm in 10 or 15 years. And that's also why, in everything I say today, and we're going to cover a bunch of stuff, remember, I'll tell you the way that I do it and the way my experience has kind of led me to approach, making music in the music industry. That's not necessarily the right route for you guys. I think there'll be a lot of useful stuff there, but don't think just because I say do it one way, that way is the only way or the right way. It absolutely isn't. And finding your own path is really, really important. So anyway, I moved to Manchester. That's kind of where my career really took off. This was, I was like 25, 26. Nobody in England wanted to give me DJ sets at that point. We're quite unique, us British people, in that we don't like other British people being successful. So, and that's still the case now. So I was starting to get gigs around Europe, in Asia, but in England, like nobody would give me a fucking thing. And it was very, very frustrating. So I took a route, which I've ended up doing a lot of times since then. I was like, I'll just do it myself. So I moved into an office above a nightclub. I persuaded the owners of the nightclub to let me throw nights there. I started doing my own parties, booked people like Above and Beyond, Ferry Corsten, Sander Van Dorn, who are way bigger names than me at that point. But by getting them on the lineups with me, it kind of gave me a bit of credibility. And eventually, the bookings started to come in. So, in 2010, I played my first festival in the United States, EDC in Los Angeles, the last one that ever happened. I think we've got a pic there. There we go. Photographer by our friend Rooks. Who is still around today, 10 years on, very hardworking guy. EDC in LA was kind of a turning point for me because it was this amazing festival. And until that point, and I think I can kind of freely say this now because I live here, like gigs in America had been pretty lame. I liked going to America. I loved coming to Los Angeles. But the shows, I'd be playing to like 50 people. So I was like, it's cool going to the US, but the gigs are pretty crap. And then I did EDC in Los Angeles, and I was like, wow, this is where it's happening. The scale of the thing in the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum was just bigger than anything I'd seen back in Europe. And a bunch of people would say to me, like, I bet the festivals are better back in Europe. I was like, nope, this is where it's at. So 2010, I told myself, LA is where I want to be. Moved to Los Angeles in 2013, and I've been here since then. So yes, next slide. So yeah, since then I've released 3 artist albums: Northern Lights in 2010, Drive in 2014. And 100 Reasons to Live, which was in 2016. All of them were sort of fairly successful. I think went sort of #1 iTunes, lots of streams. I think the last one was #1 iTunes Dance in about 25 different countries. Made a few records, which, fortunately for me, kind of attained classic status in the trance scene, sort of like Concrete Angel, Sanctuary, Saving Light. But, the most important thing, which is more important than all that for me, was building a fan base of people that genuinely appreciated the music that I make and what I do, which is kind of how I've been able to have some longevity, I think. Rather than sort of basing my career off sort of hype and whatever was cool in the moment, I just did my own thing. That's been pretty awesome. So yeah, I kind of want to go over some different stuff in the first and second part of this masterclass. I watched a bunch of these last night just to get an idea of what other people had talked about. And most of them were about studio technique. We're absolutely going to do that in like the second 30 minutes. But before we get there, I kind of want to talk about a more general skill set on how you kind of apply yourself in the music industry on a day-to-day basis. In my opinion, it is pretty much as important as production technique, but it is completely overlooked. On YouTube, there are hundreds and hundreds of videos about production technique, thousands, but almost nothing about how you navigate the music industry, how you apply yourself to make the best of the skills you've got. So I want to dig into that for the next 10, 15 minutes or so, and then we'll get on to some more sort of granular production stuff. So I would kind of call it setting yourself up for success. And it still amazes me to this day how many people I know that think success is kind of about luck or fate or whatever. I meet people from back home all the time. They're like, oh, you're so lucky to have that career. Whereas in reality, I think most people that have had success in electronic music have worked and had a very, very specific plan of what they wanted to accomplish and applied themselves on a day-to-day basis.